The red sand of Telros 4 shook beneath their boots. Dust rose with every step, hiding the broken skyships and bodies of those who didn't survive. Zira, a young alien scout with shimmering green skin and sharp golden eyes, moved quietly behind. A wrecked crawler tank. Her hands trembled, not from fear, she'd seen death before, but from confusion. Why had her squad been sent here? Why had command suddenly told them to retreat? And most of all, why was a human still here? The war between the Sarn coalition and humanity had cooled, nearly ended in a shaky peace. But here, in this forgotten desert zone, gunfire still echoed. Zira pressed her ear to her comms. Scout Zira, do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. We believe there is a human sniper in the region. She gritted her teeth. That's why the others ran. A sniper. Humans were feared for this skill killing from hundreds of meters away. No sound, no warning. Just death from nowhere. She peeked through a broken visor slit. The ruined battlefield. Stretched in silence. No movement, then a flicker. A glint far on a hill. The sun catching something metallic. Zira ducked. Her heart beat faster. Her instincts told her someone's watching. She whispered, "Impossible. He's still here." She slid down and crawled low, hoping the sniper hadn't seen her. But her movement must have given her away. A crack rang out. Not thunder, not plasma. It was the sharp, clean sound of a high-velocity kinetic rifle. She froze. But she was alive. Then she heard a scream. Not hers. She peeked again. On the opposite side of the battlefield, hidden in thick dust, a massive armored beast, an old war drone, lay dead. A perfect hole through its eye. One shot. No mistake. That drone had killed half her squad before. Mouth fell open. She stared up at the hill. Through the swirling dust, a tall human stood calm, silent, unmoving. His sniper rifle rested on his shoulder as he turned and walked away. She had never seen a shot like that. He saved her. On purpose. Impossible. She whispered again, louder this time. Zira couldn't look away. The human had hit a moving war machine from that distance through storm and smoke. And then he vanished. Vanished like a ghost into the storm, leaving only silence behind. Zira stood up slowly, still staring. She should report this. She should run. But something inside her said, follow him. She didn't even understand why. All she knew was, this wasn't a normal soldier. This was something else. And she needed to know who he was, even if it meant breaking every order she'd been given. Even if it meant walking straight into the desert after a sniper no one had ever seen and lived. But first, she picked up her dropped scanner and looked again at the hole in the war drone's head. It wasn't just clean, it was precise. Her mind raced. Who was he? And why had he saved her? She took her first step forward, past the wreckage, into the unknown. And the wind whispered through the broken steel. He's still watching. Asterisk. The storm had started again. Fine red sand whipped across Zira's skin as she climbed the broken ridge. Her scanner blinked, trying to track signs of life, but the interference from the wreckage and old tech made it useless. She tucked it away. Now she trusted only her eyes and her gut. She shouldn't be here. She'd gone against command. If anyone found out, she'd be marked as a deserter. But the human sniper had done something no one else could. He'd saved her, not with brute force, but with one perfect, impossible shot. Why? The question wouldn't leave her mind. She reached the top of the ridge, panting slightly. Below was a stretch of dead ground, an old battlefield filled metal bones. And on the far side, near a rusted control tower, she saw something. Footprints, human boots, fresh. Zir knelt down, brushing the sand with her fingers. No doubt, he came this way. She followed slowly, carefully. She kept her body low and her eyes sharp. A human sniper was still dangerous, even if he had saved her once. Suddenly, her foot hit something. She froze and looked down. A small sensor mine blinked, blue beneath the sand. She gasped and jumped back. Too late. The mine clicked. Zira threw herself behind a chunk of armor plating as the mine exploded, not with fire, but with a burst of high-frequency sound. It rattled her bones and made her ears scream. She rolled over, dazed. That mine hadn't been meant to kill. It was a warning. She heard a voice, deep, calm. Stop following me. Zira looked up quickly. There he was, the human sniper. He stood on a metal ledge above her, rifle aimed down, his face covered by a dark visor and scarf. His voice was cold but not angry, just tired. I'm not your enemy, Zira called up, struggling to her feet. You could have killed me back there. You didn't. Why? He didn't answer at first. Then, finally, he lowered the rifle. I saw you freeze, he said. Didn't seem fair to let that thing rip you apart, she blinked. You risked giving away your position for me? I've seen too many soldiers die for no reason, he said. Didn't want to see another one. Zira stepped closer, slowly. You're not with any unit, are you? He said nothing. She nodded. A rogue, a ghost. He didn't deny it. Why are you still here? She asked. I've got my reasons, he said, then turned to leave. But Zira didn't let him go. Wait, she said. That shot, I've never seen anything like it. It was perfect. He paused. I had a good teacher. Who? He turned slightly. Just enough for her to see a patch on his arm. Worn. Faded. It bore an old earth symbol, an eagle holding stars. My father. He said. He was a sniper too. Zira felt something shift inside her. She wasn't sure if it was respect, fear, or something else. But she knew one thing. This man was dangerous, yes, but also deeply alone. And maybe, just maybe, he didn't want to be. Before she could speak again, her comm buzzed. A distorted voice crackled through. Zira. Respond. We've tracked your signal. Are you engaged with hostile forces? She looked at the human. He gave her a slow nod as if saying, It's your choice now. Zira clicked off the comm. No hostiles, she said softly. I'm following something important. The wind howled. The human walked toward a small ridge, then paused. If you're going to keep following me, he said without turning, keep up. I don't slow down. Zira smiled just a little. I wasn't planning to. And just like that, they vanished. Together into the swirling storm, an alien girl and a human ghost, walking a path that neither of them understood yet, but both knew would change everything. Zira's boots crunched on the dry sand as she followed the sniper across the jagged desert. The wind still howled, blowing dust into her eyes, but she didn't complain. She watched the human carefully, studying every step, every small motion. He moved like a shadow, silent, smooth, sure. Like the desert knew him. Like he had always been part of it. She didn't even know his name. After an hour of walking, they reached the edge of a small canyon. Rusted ship debris was scattered across the cliffs, forming makeshift shelters and lookout points. The human raised his hand and crouched. Zira followed without a word. Below them, a group of raiders had set up camp. 6 of them, armed. Laughing around a fire built from broken ship panels, Zira narrowed her eyes. Sarn deserters, she whispered. They've been scavenging weapons. Command lost contact with his zone weeks ago. The human didn't respond. He was already setting up his rifle, legs flat, body lowered, breath steady. Zira frowned. You're going to engage? Alone? He didn't look at her. I'm not alone, am I? Her heart skipped. She crouched beside him, drawing her own weapon. Tell me what to do. The human nodded slightly. You take the two near the back. I'll handle the rest. Zira looked at the range and laughed under her breath. You can't be serious. That's over 400 meters through dust and heat. His voice was quiet. I'm always serious. Before she could ask more, he fired. The first radar dropped without a sound, then the second, then a third, precise, timed, like he could read the wind. Zira blinked in shock but forced herself to focus. She aimed at the rear targets and squeezed the trigger. Her shots weren't as clean as his, but she hit both. It was over in 12 seconds. No alarms. No shouts. Just the crack of two weapons and 6 bodies falling before they could lift a hand in defense. She stared down at the fire below. That was surgical. The human stood, reloading calmly. Too much noise draws scav bots. We move fast. He started down the slope and Zira followed in silence. The camp below still smelled of heat and fuel. The bodies lay sprawled, some clutching stolen gear. Zira crouched near one and picked up a half-melted data drive. These were collecting info on weapon shipments, she said. If this fell into the wrong hands. Exactly, the sniper replied. That's why I've been staying behind. Cleaning up what your command forgot. Zira looked up. You've been hunting deserters? He nodded. And looters, pirates, anyone who'd use this war to make things worse. Zira couldn't believe it. One man, one sniper. Doing what entire units had failed to do. But why not report in? Why go rogue? The human finally turned to face her. My unit was wiped out. We were left behind. Command said we were too far to extract, so I made my own mission. Zira's throat tightened. She had heard stories like this, abandoned humans surviving in ghost zones. But most didn't live long. This one had not only survived, he had thrived. He picked up the data drive from her hand and scanned it with a battered wrist tool. Coordinates, a shipment route. Someone's moving stolen Earth tech. Zira's eyes widened. Earth tech? That's illegal across 3 systems. He nodded. That's where we're going next. She blinked. We? The human looked at her calmly. You're still following me, aren't you? Zira couldn't help but smile. Looks like I am. He started walking again. Then let's keep moving. This place gets dangerous at night. As the suns dipped lower on the horizon, Zira felt something strange inside her, something she hadn't felt since the war began. She felt purpose. And for the first time, she didn't feel like just another soldier following orders. She was part of something bigger. Something real. Something human. And in the fading light, the sniper's shadow stretched beside hers, 2 figures crossing the wasteland, silent, determined, but not alone. Asterisk night fell like a blanket of shadows across the desert. The sky above was filled with unfamiliar stars, twinkling coldly over the war-torn surface of Telrose 4. Zira walked behind the human sniper, her steps quieter now, her thoughts heavier. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. They had a target. According to the data drive, a stolen shipment of advanced Earth tech was being moved through the old mining tunnels in Sector 12, a place abandoned since the early days of the war. Zira had never been there, but the human? He seemed to know every inch of this planet. After hours of walking, they reached a narrow canyon, its stone walls rising high on both sides like jagged teeth. The wind had died down, replaced by eerie silence. The human raised his hand and knelt. Zira dropped low beside him. There, he said softly, pointing toward a half-buried tunnel entrance. Thermal readings, 2 guards. Zira activated her scanner. Sure enough, 2 faint life signs stood at the gate. She narrowed her eyes. No patrols, no movement, almost too quiet. He nodded. Which means traps. Zira scanned the rocks ahead. Trip lasers in the sand. Motion mines. They've secured this like a fortress. The human unslung a small drone from his back-end. Old Earth recon model, scratched and patched with alien wiring. He sent it flying low, its camera feeding to his wristpad. Inside the tunnel, 5 more guards lounged near crates marked in Terran script. She read one, X-74 targeting modules. Zira gasped. Those are banned on alien systems. That tech can link to any weapon system and self-correct mid-shot. The human's voice was calm. Imagine pirates using them with stolen Earth rifles, or warlords. She stared at the crates. We have to destroy them. He was already moving. They crawled through a narrow ledge around the canyon, carefully stepping over mines and sensors. Zira's heart pounded with each breath, but the human never hesitated. He moved like he'd done this 1,000 times. They were close enough. He handed Zira a small sphere, sleek, cold, humming softly. Pulse grenade, he said. MP only. Takes out electronics, not life. Zira smiled. You really don't like unnecessary killing, do you? He didn't smile back. I've seen enough death. She nodded, then crept forward. She moved like a shadow, just as he had taught her. She reached the far edge of the tunnel mouth and waited for his signal. Soft click in her ear. Go. She threw the grenade. It sailed silently through the air and landed right between the crates. Boom. A flash of blue light exploded. And all the lights in the tunnel flickered out. Sparks rained from damaged tech. Alarm screamed for only a second, then fell silent. Zira and the sniper moved fast. They dropped the guards with shock darts, non-lethal, precise. The men barely had time to turn before falling unconscious. Within minutes, the tunnel was theirs. Check the crates. Rows of stolen Earth tech, illegal weapons, sensor disruptors, sniper upgrades, even prototype cloaking fields. Zira stared in disbelief. This is worth millions. Someone planned to start a war with this. The sniper set charges on the crates. Not anymore. As they backed out, he activated the detonator and turned his back. A quiet explosion. Controlled. Clean. Flames curled. Through the tunnel, as tech vaporized in the blast, Zira watched the smoke rise into the night sky. You've been doing this alone for how long? He adjusted the strap on his rifle. Too long. You could have died 100 times. He shrugged. But I didn't. She looked at him. Why keep going? He hesitated, then finally said, because someone has to. For a moment, they stood there, 2 shadows under a war-torn sky, surrounded by sand and silence. Then a voice echoed in Zira's earpiece. Scout Zira, this is command. We detected an explosion near Sector 12. Respond immediately. She stared at the human. This was the moment. She could call it in. Report everything. A rogue human sniper, illegal tech, unauthorized destruction. Instead, she clicked her come off again. No threat, she whispered. All clear. The sniper raised one eyebrow. You sure about that? Zira nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm sure. They turned away from the smoldering tunnel. But in the distance, far across the sands, another set of eyes watched from behind dark glass. Someone else had seen the explosion, and they weren't happy. They moved under the pale glow of Telros 4's twin moons, their light casting long shadows over the broken wasteland. Zira followed the sniper in silence, still thinking about the fire in the tunnel, the stolen weapons now reduced to ash. It had been the right thing to do, but right didn't always mean safe. She felt it in her gut. They were being followed. She kept checking over her shoulder, scanning the dark rocks, the cracks in the dunes. The human noticed. Feel it too? He asked without stopping. Zira nodded. Yes, something's out there. He finally paused and turned toward her. There's a bounty on me. High one. Started the day I walked away from Earth Command. Not All mercenaries agree with what I'm doing. Zira narrowed her eyes. They sent someone? He nodded once. They sent him. Zira's body tensed. Who? The human didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his gear and pulled out a small black disc. He tossed it on the ground. It blinked once, then hummed softly. A hologram. Flickered to life. A figure stood in the image, tall, thin, wrapped in black armor. Its face hidden beneath a smooth chrome mask with a single glowing red eye. Code name, Whisper, the sniper said. Human origin. Former Earth assassin unit. Specializes in tracking ... and killing. Zira stared at the image. He's tracking you? No, the human said. He's tracking us now. The wind picked up suddenly, sweeping across the rocks. And then crack, a shot rang out. Zira dove to the ground. The rock beside her exploded in dust. She rolled. Behind cover, heart pounding, sniper fire. Another shot followed. This one grazed the edge of her armor. Too fast, she whispered. Too perfect. The human sniper crouched beside her. He didn't look scared, just focused. He's not just fast, the human said. He's predicting movement. That's Whisper's skill. He sees patterns, reads your mind. Zira swallowed. Hard. How do we stop someone like that? The human checked his rifle. We don't stop him. We survive him. He looked up at the ridge where the shots had come from. Then he pointed toward a narrow path cutting between the rocks. That way? Move now. I'll draw him. Zira grabbed his arm. No, I won't leave you. He looked her in the eyes. You have to. This isn't about me. If he gets that data drive from your pack, he'll know everything we've stopped. Every route, every hideout. Zira hesitated. Her hand hovered over the pack on her back. She had forgotten she was carrying the data from the destroyed camp. If Whisper got it. She didn't waste another second. Don't die, she said. Sharply. The sniper gave a faint smirk, not planning to. She ran. Bullets chased her as she zigzagged through the rocks, heart racing, boots pounding. She jumped over broken metal, slid under fallen supports. Behind her, she heard the sniper return fire, each shot clean, powerful. Controlled. Then came a scream, not human. A distorted metallic sound filled the air like a machine in pain. Stopped and turned. A black shape dropped from the sky. Whisper. He landed without a sound, crouched like a predator. His red eye locked onto her. Zira froze. Then the human was there, between them. He didn't say a word. He just raised his rifle and fired. Whisper twisted, avoiding the shot by inches. His arm shot forward, and a blade extended from his wrist with a deadly hiss. Zira backed away slowly as the two assassins circled each other. She had never seen anything like it. Speed, precision, like they were built for this dance. The human ducked, rolled, and returned fire. Whisper blocked the bullet with his armored wrist. Sparks flying. Then they clashed, blade against rifle stock. Strike after strike. The sound of metal echoed across the canyon. Zira clenched her fists. She had to do something, but what? Then she remembered. The second EMP pulse grenade. She fumbled in her belt, pulled it free. She waited. Waited until Whisper stepped near a broken tower. Then she threw it. Boom. Blue light exploded across the rocks. Whisper screamed again, his systems glitching, body twitching. The sniper didn't waste time. He tackled him, grabbed the red-eyed mask and slammed it into the ground. One final punch, then silence. The red eye flickered and went dark. The human fell back, breathing hard. Zira ran to him. You okay? She asked. He nodded slowly. Yeah, thanks to you. She looked at Whisper's body. Will he get back up? The human shook his head. Not this time. Together, they walked away from the broken machine assassin. Zira glanced at the sniper. You said you weren't part of Earth Command anymore. So what are you? He looked up at the stars. I'm just someone trying to clean up the mess we left behind. And in the quiet that followed, she realized she believed him. Asterisk, the desert was still again. No wind. No dust. Just the broken silence after battle. Whispers. Body lay motionless behind them, half buried under shattered stone and twisted metal. Zira glanced back only once before focusing on the path ahead. She could still hear the echoes of their fight in her head, how close death had come. The human sniper walked beside her, a little slower now. His left arm was bleeding from a deep cut, but he hadn't said a word about it. Zira had offered to help, but he simply shook his head. There's no time. They had recovered what Whisper was after, the data drive Zira had carried. She held it tightly now, afraid it might slip from her hands. It wasn't just tracking stolen tech anymore. It held a final set of coordinates, one that wasn't supposed to exist. Zira glanced at the sniper. This location. It's deep in the old Terran stronghold, right? He nodded. Outpost 9. Thought it was lost in the first year of the war. Earth Command said the planet swallowed it during a quake. Turns out they lied. Zira blinked. Why? He stopped walking and turned toward her. His voice was low, because what's hidden there ends everything. She stared at him, confused. What do you mean? He hesitated, then pulled something from his belt. A data stick. Old, rusted, but marked with the same symbol on his arm, the Terran eagle holding stars. My father served in Outpost 9, he said. He wasn't just a sniper. He was part of Project Valkyrie. Zira frowned. I've never heard of it. You weren't supposed to. He plugged the stick into his wristpad. A 3D image appeared, blueprints, notes, audio logs. It showed a massive rail cannon mobile, satellite-linked, capable of wiping out cities from orbit with one command. Its code name, Echo Fire. Zira stared at the display, heart pounding. You're saying it's still there? He nodded. And someone's trying to activate it again. Zira tightened her grip on the data drive. But why? The war is over. He looked up at the stars. Not for everyone. They continued walking in silence. The route took them into a canyon, then through a long-forgotten tunnel. The walls here were cracked with time, but they could still see traces of old battle-scorched marks. Shattered helmets, collapsed drones. Then the tunnel opened. Outpost 9. It stood half buried in rock and sand, its top tower barely visible. But beneath it, the metal doors still glowed with faint power. Zira stared at the ruins. No one found this in 10 years? The sniper gave a small smile, because no one knew what to look for. They stepped forward. As they approached the entrance, a red light blinked over a panel. The human placed his palm on it. The scanner hesitated, then turned green. Access granted. Zira's eyes widened. How? He looked at her. My father left me the codes. Told me if anything ever felt unfinished, I had to find this place. The doors opened with a loud hiss. Inside, it was cold and dark. The lights flickered on, one by one, revealing old control rooms, reinforced walls, sealed labs. Zira walked slowly, scanning the area. No signs of life. The sniper knelt near a terminal and plugged in his pad. The screens blinked. One showed a progress bar. Echo Fire control reboot to 92%. Zira's breath caught. Someone already started it. He stood slowly. Then we're almost too late. Suddenly, alarms blared. A distorted voice echoed through the base. Unauthorized access. Countdown initiated. Zira's heart raced. Someone triggered a launch. The sniper's hands flew across the console. If that weapon fires, it'll destroy an entire colony. They're using it as a threat. Probably selling coordinates to the highest bidder. Can we stop it? Zira asked. He didn't answer. His jaw tightened. 97%. 98%. Double quotes maybe, he said. But it won't be easy. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind them. Zira turned fast, rifle up. A tall figure stepped from the shadows, cloaked, armored, wearing the same mark as Whisper. But this one was different. Female. Her voice was cold. You should have stayed hidden. Ghost. The sniper stepped forward. So, they sent his sister. Zira's eyes widened. Whisper had a sister? She's worse, the sniper said. She finishes what he starts. The woman stepped closer, weapon in hand. Step away from the console. The weapon is ours now. Zira looked at the sniper. He whispered one word, run. But this time, Zira shook her head. No, I'm staying. And as the weapon countdown ticked closer to completion, the two sides faced off, one step away from triggering a war no one could stop. The countdown echoed through the ancient walls of Outpost 9. Weapon system. Echo fire. Launch sequence at 99% completion. Warning lights flashed red across the ceiling. The air buzzed with heat and pressure. Somewhere deep beneath them, the rail cannon was waking, charging to fire from orbit, and in the middle of the control room, 3 people stood still, Zira, her pulse pounding. The sniper, calm but focused. And Whisper's sister, cold, deadly, already raising her plasma blade. The sniper whispered to Zira, if we don't stop her now, she locked the weapon in fire. Zira didn't blink. What do we do? He looked at her with steady eyes. You get to the override terminal. I'll hold her off. No, she said. We do it together. The assassin lunged. The sniper blocked her strike just in time. Metal slammed against metal. Sparks flew. She moved with speed Zira hadn't seen even in Whisper. Faster, smarter, deadlier. Zira rolled across the floor and dove behind the console. Her fingers flew across the keys. Accessing override menu. System encrypted. I need time. The sniper and the assassin danced in a storm of violence. He dodged, countered, blocked, but barely. She was pushing him back with every blow. Zira shouted, I need 60 seconds. The assassin heard, you won't last 6. She kicked the sniper hard. He crashed into a wall. His rifle clattered to the floor. Zira screamed, no. The assassin stalked toward her, blade glowing. Then bang. The sound echoed like thunder. Assassin stopped. She looked down. Blood. Zira gasped. The sniper had pulled a backup pistol and fired. One clean shot center mass. The assassin staggered. Dropped her blade. Then fell silent. Zira didn't move. Then the sniper groaned and limped toward her. How much longer? Zira's hands trembled over the console. 30 seconds. He leaned against the wall, breathing hard. She was the last one. No more hunters. No more killers. Zira stared at him. Why do you keep doing this? You don't owe anyone anything. He looked at her with tired eyes. I do, to the ones who didn't make it, to my father, to all the people who'll die if we don't stop this. Zira felt her throat tighten. You shouldn't have to do it alone, he smiled faintly. I'm not anymore. Beep. The screen turned green. Override accepted. Echo fire shut down complete. Zira let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The weapon core hissed. The launch power fell to 0. Silence returned to the base. She turned to the sniper. He sat against the wall now, injured but alive. We did it. She walked over and sat beside him. Yeah, we did. They didn't speak for a while, just stared at the screen. The countdown was gone. The war would not return today. Later, after they patched wounds and cleared the base, Zira sent one final message to command. Outpost 9 secured. No hostile threats remain. Classified weapon deactivated. No backup needed. She didn't mention the sniper. Didn't mention the truth. Some stories didn't need to be shared. Outside, the desert was quiet again. The stars above seemed brighter. Now Zira helped him to his feet. What now? The sniper looked into the distance. There are more ruins out there. More weapons. More secrets, she smiled. Then I guess you're not going alone. He smirked. Didn't plan to. And together, they walked into the sands, not as enemies. Not as soldier and ghost, but as something. New. Something stronger. Human and alien. Side by side. Saving a galaxy that didn't even know how close it came to burning.